Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my instalment of this month's Robot Wankers video. This month we're calling it Megatron, where we're going to focus on the maniacal leader of the evil Decepticons.
Robot wankers, a bunch of wankers who look like robots. Yeah!
So what I'm going to do this month is focus on some of the Megatrons that I've got out on display. I have got some which I recently packed away up the loft because I'm planning on moving house. I will do a few honourable mentions of those before I get to number one. I'll also do some mentions of ones that I think are absolutely hideous and not Megatron at all. So I'm going to talk you through my top 7 Megatrons. So in at number 7 we have a recent entry, Titan's Return Megatron. Now everyone talks about this being a pre-tool of Blitzwing, but you know what, once you've got it in hand, Retro Prime said it earlier in his video, it feels like Megatron and it's a great interpretation of him. He does transform into a pretty stunning jet and also a tank. But yeah, so in at number 7 is this dude. In at number 6, another recent entry, it is Combiner Wars Megatron. This is a great figure. One of the best Megatrons we've had for a good few years that's G1 accurate. It transforms into a tank. I would have loved to have seen him in some G2 colours, but they went for that Armada version instead, if you've seen that in the shops, one I haven't picked up. But he's a great figure. The only thing that lets him down is his fusion cannon, which is not the correct shape in my opinion. But other than that, he's a great toy. So yeah, if you haven't got him, I'd definitely recommend it. In at number 5, we have Transformers Prime Megatron. I love the Prime show. It's a fantastic series. If you haven't watched it, definitely give it a try. This is a good version of the figure. I'd like the first edition one. I think they did a first edition one. But this is just your standard edition that I managed to pull together from various different Megatrons, so he's a little bit loose. But he's a great figure, a lot of fun. It does have this gimmick where his blade can come forward, which is pretty cool. And he transforms into a kind of Cybertronian space jet. But yeah, in at number 5, Transformers Prime Megatron. Now, the animated line gave us a few versions of Megatron. They gave us the battle damage version. They gave us the Cybertronian version with a big, heavy cannon. I haven't gone for either of those, but I have gone for the leader class Megatron from that series. This, like a lot of the animated figures and the show itself, gave Generation 1 characters a new lease of life. This transforms into kind of almost highbrow-esque propeller jet helicopter thingy. I forget what they're called. But it comes with his fusion cannon, which has the right balance of nostalgia and update. His sword is covered in dust. He's been on the top of my shelf for a while now. He is a great figure. It comes with lights and sounds.
Where is the old spark? Crush the Autobots. Where is the old spark?
So yeah, he's a great, great figure. So yeah, number 4, animated leader Megatron. When I first started to think about this list, this guy was number 1. But after much deliberation, he slipped to number 3. And it's the only unofficial entry on this chart. It's DX9 Megatron. Now, I know everyone's really hot on the new MP Megatron. He looks absolutely amazing. I've heard some bad things about the paint chipping, but to me, I got this guy last year for probably half the price. It was about £90. Half the price of the Megatron that's just been released by Takara, and he's stunning. I've got a confession to make. I haven't transformed him. Sorry, James. I just said I was going to transform him for this video, but I'm not going to. I think this is a problem with me and third party and even masterpieces. I'll transform once and I'll never transform again. I bought the new movie Barricade and Berserker yesterday, and I've transformed them already about 3 or 4 times. And this guy, in over a year, I haven't done it once. But on your shelf, as part of that original Decepticon lineup, with Soundwave one side, Starscream the other, he is absolutely fantastic. So number 3, the wonderful and amazing DX9 Megatron. So in at number 2, Generation 2 Megatron, the first incarnation of Megs where he transformed into a tank, and not a silver tank. Oh no, we've gone neon green and purple. We've gone Devastator on his ass. I still remember opening this toy when I was a kid, when I was bought it. Now, before I started to film this video, I tried his sound and it didn't work, and that's the first time it's ever not worked. So for the first time in 20 odd years, I've had to replace his batteries. These are how old the batteries are. Remember these Panasonic ones? Crazy. So here he is, a very dusty Generation 2 Megatron in tank mode. The turret does go up and down, and this one actually had a foreign missile gimmick. I'll try and do it for you now. So in at number 2, Generation 2 Megatron. Now, before I get to number 1, a couple of honourable mentions and a Megatron that I really, really don't like. What I'm not a fan of is Megatrons like this. They turn into dragons and beasts, and I forgot I even had this. I just noticed it at the top of my wardrobe. Yeah, I'm not a fan of these kind of Megatrons. I can understand how they are liked by people, and they are. This version of Megatron is their Megatron because this was the version when they were kids. But for me, he's not, and he's not even a Decepticon. He's a Predacon on here. It was Predacons, wasn't it, in our day? I also really, really dislike the is it Cybertron version that had turned into a big car that looked nothing like Megatron. I wasn't a fan of that one. So honourable mentions now. Armada Megatron transformed into a tank, very G2-like. Also Energon Megatron, which looked a little bit more like a white Galvatron with green cannons on his arms. He was really, really cool. Even the Universe, and I think it was Universe Raygun Megatron, I actually bought him back in my hand luggage on a flight back from Edinburgh. Stupid rich, and I didn't even get pulled up, which is crazy, really. And yeah, some of the mini Megatrons as well. You can get like a Generation 2 tank and the mini handgun, which I think John's going to do in his Robot Wankers video. So yeah, there's been a lot of other Megatrons out there, so sorry if I haven't mentioned them. And the final honourable mention is to this Cyberverse KO Megatron that I picked up a few months ago, maybe a month ago. If you haven't seen him, I've done a review on him. Check him out. He's a lot of fun, but he's a fake. So the best Megatron in my collection is Generation 1 Megatron. Now, I know in robot mode he's pretty much a sack of shit, but this guy, just the nostalgia. I actually got this from, remember John Menzies? John Menzies in Canuck, I think it was. I got another version of this, which is beaten up. It's not very good at all. I got this for a tenner back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I always played with the one that was outside the box that was broken, so he's hopefully pretty much mint in there. The box has got a little bit damaged over the years, but yeah. Look at the artwork on the back. You don't get artwork like that anymore. You can see at the back I've cut out the voucher, probably for one of the orders that I made from the mail order stuff that they didn't have in stock, so they sent me about 1,700 Infernos instead. So I've actually opened the box up. I've just found this in there. Now, one of the stickers I think have peeled off, but an original sticker sheet from the 80s. How cool is that? Oh no, found it, stuck it back on, it's all good. So in the box I found his instructions. I found a tech spec reader. I found out how to assemble the gun, little instruction thing, which is pretty cool. And I've also found this, which is absolutely nothing to do with Megatron, but Devastator's combiner instructions, which is pretty cool. I don't even remember this. And here we go. Generation 1 Megatron. I haven't taken this out the box since, gotta be over 10 years. Maybe even longer. Might even be 20 years since I've held this last. I was probably just a young kid. The chrome looks pretty great on it. I'm having a bit of a nostalgic moment here, actually. It says Hasbro 1974 to 1983 on the side. I know there's various different versions of this, but this is stunning. If you want to, you can aim down the sights and look at your next target.
my love for you. You wanna know by now how much I love you.
Hang on a minute. I'm sure he looked better in the 80s.
Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You wanna know by now how much I love you.
Now here he is in robot mode. Some of the joints are really, really tight on this. I think this is probably the only fourth or fifth time this has ever been transformed. I'm not going to push it all in too tightly or force the head down or anything, because I genuinely don't want to break this one, because it's from when I was younger and everything like that. But you can see him in his robot mode. You can see how shiny the chrome is on that, how bright and vibrant the red is. It does look like a new toy, to be fair. It is amazing. It doesn't look like Megatron from the cartoon. It doesn't have the articulation of Mitron. It doesn't have the neon colours of G2 Megatron. But for me, this is still and always will be the most ultimate Megatron in my collection.